Hello everyone and welcome to Bronze then. And of course this is season 2 of Bronze. This is going to be the longest bronze season in history of ALR. Of course we only had 9 races last season, so it was a bit of a sprint championship, wasn't it? Of course it was New Potato who came out on top then after an incredible battle between himself and Gurman for most of the season. And Energetics as well. Of course Energetics is in the league this season along with a couple of returnees there. Of course Mike is now having his first full season in Bronze then. And we've also got Nunda also stepping up into a full-time seat as well. So we've got a safety car. I think this was the early safety car in all of ALR, wasn't it? And I've got Nosy sat next to me for this bronze review. Alex, what is your thoughts on bronze then going into season 2? Of course, this is a longer championship compared to the first season.
Yeah, well, I was excited to see how it was going to pan out over the 22 races. Obviously, like I said, 9 races from last season. We didn't get to see everybody's best performances, put it that way. But yeah, looking forward to how the season was going to go for season 2 of Bronze, and got some new faces and some returning faces. So yeah, it was good to see them all getting together and getting a race on for Australia.
It was indeed. Of course, Bronze had a random championship calendar last season, didn't it? As I just mentioned, only 9 rounds, wasn't it? So it's a very different dynamic this season. Wasn't it? So it's going to be very interesting as you see Farfair taking the lead of the Australian Grand Prix after him and Pease having a good old scrap there. Both Williams is doing a very good job at this stage of the season so far. There, well, I know we're only 16 laps into it, but we have Nunda and Velocity there battling in second and fourth position there. Nunda had a bit of a struggle, didn't he, in the first season, but this second season, and he started off very strong indeed. That lovely shot here from Curly then, who's in the racing point currently in 9th position as well. Energetic said, who had the most pole positions last season, then in 10th position, only 10th at the moment. Then, as we've now got Farfen, who's a former race winner in gold, isn't he? Having a crack at bronze as well. Then, so I think that at this stage of the season, Farf would have been the favourite. Then, just on board with Mike now, and you can see in front of us, we've got 2 drivers. We've got Rembo, of course, making her debut in ALR. And we have also got Maz as well. Maz returning to the grid as well. And look at that Mike going on the outside of Rembo. That was a fantastic manoeuvre there from Mike. It really was that. Nosy, what do you say about that manoeuvre? Really good.
Yeah, it was very good. So a good overtaking. Well, we've seen quite a few overtaking manoeuvres in this race already, and I think the overtaking in bronze has been it's been definitely one of the most interesting, put it that way, leagues for overtaking. I think there's been opportunities and opportunistic rubber moves that people have made in this division that have paid off in most cases as well. It's good to see. I think Rembo, like you said, was reserving at this stage of the season still, but as was Nunda. I believe Nunda came in actually in this race for his first full-time race. He didn't actually race full time in the last season, unfortunately for him. But yeah, he's really picked up where he left off, where he picked up where he didn't leave off. Really, he picked up and just carried on with it from this race forward as well. It looked like so. Yeah, he did a great job this season as well, and definitely improved a lot from the reserve appearances that we saw him in at the end of Bronze season 1.
He did indeed, and one of the most improved drivers of the campaign as well. Total Pease is currently leading the moment, and he is the reserve driver as it stands at the moment. It's getting very interesting and very close at him coming out of turn 2 as we've got Curly, Energetics, and Camera. Energetics seems to be stuck in midfield for a lot of this race there. He is a very quick customer, isn't he? But unfortunately, he was in the midfield for most of this one, as was the Gort as well. Energetics in the Gort. I was thinking that those 2 drivers would probably be one of the favourites for this campaign going forward. But that really didn't turn out to be the case, did it? And I got to say, I quite enjoyed that. Farf another favourite, but unfortunately, Farf spinning around in that Renault there, and unfortunately, that kind of paid to what could have been his first Grand Prix win at bronze there. But unfortunately, with 1 lap to go, then it was too late, wasn't it, for him to do anything about that? As we just seeing PZ on his final lap then as well. He was looking strong in gold, wasn't it? Of course, at the moment, no, he was a reserve, wasn't he? And he was then he was finally promoted to the gold closely, wasn't he, after showing some impressive performances in races like this as well. And it's getting very fraught to the back there, isn't it, as we got Farfus around again then. I thought we'd put this in the highlight package because we do like to show Farfus as absolute best, as we're just watching Velocity and Mike getting very close before comfort, maybe a bit too close, but it was brilliant to watch there between Mike and Velocity as well. Of course, I think they're so bunched up. It's absolutely fantastic to watch that. And we got Maz, who unfortunately threw away a good points position there, which was absolutely devastating for Maz, wasn't it, in his opening campaign. So as we come through the final turn as well, and this race was absolutely fascinating. It really was. That final lap there was absolutely brilliant to watch there. Pete's come across the line first there. He also got fastest up, but it was Mike who secured his first Grand Prix win of his career in bronze there. He kept it cleanest, didn't he? And of course and that was quite crucial in this race as well. Pete's finished second. Brandon there, who was in a reserve spot in a third position as well. Nunda in career best at the time in fourth position as well. Rempo also getting her on her debut in a sixth position. Great 17. Sean Hammers in front of Energetics in eighth position. Velocity's penalties really cost him there, down in at ninth position there. But what a start then to the bronze campaign it really was, and absolutely thoroughly enjoyable race then from start to finish there as well. And what I liked about bronze to begin with is that we had some ideas about Energetics and maybe the Gore, but apart from that, then we had no earthly idea who was going to win it, and that showed after Australia there, with Mike taking an early advantage there with a fantastic performance there in the McLaren team as well. I was really amazed by his performance in this Australian Grand Prix as well. As you see them just taking a look down at the bottom drivers there, didn't have a very good start then to their bronze campaign. So Mike had the early pace there as well. Velocity did actually have a penalty taken off him as well, so he's back up into second spot then with Nunda in third position at the moment in the constructor standings there. McLaren leading very a slim margin there over Williams in second position at the moment, and it was very close in the constructors to start off then the bronze campaign then. But then we move on to the second round in Bahrain as well. Bahrain is usually a fantastic event then, isn't it? There's a lot of overtaking. P's once again reserved for the AlphaTauri team then as we go into turn one, and Energetics having a much better fist of things in qualifying. And Infamous Pillars then, as we've already mentioned, he's a reserve driver as well. Unfortunately, Velocity having an appalling start in this race there, and dropping right down to the back of the field as Energetics then, of course, early season there, it's just not been going at all well. Nosy, could I bring you in on this one there? Energetics going into the wall then, and he had a poor race in Australia, and he was out before he even got properly going in Bahrain. Not a good start then for Energetics.
No, it's the same for everybody. Well, some people are there. I think they've had less time to adapt to the game, and I think he's doing some new assists that he's taken off rather to make it more challenging for him as well. That probably didn't help him to begin with in this season, because got to get this bit of a learning curve and trying to adapt to the new game and the new driving style. But yeah, it was a bit of an odd one, that one, because I think he just sort of spun on the curb and then it just sort of spat him out into the wall, which I think Emerson actually did in gold this season as well, which was a bit coincidental for both the guys who both we expect them to be winning races and winning championships.
Yeah, that's a very good point actually, and so it seems like a very difficult corner as well. And what makes it worse is you feel absolutely powerless as the barrier comes towards you then as well. We was on board with Energetics and he just stamping on the brakes, and unfortunately nothing was he just wasn't being able to slow the car down, was he? As Pillars there, we seen in the race before, I think in Silverstone, in Silver the race before this one, he had a great race, didn't he, where he was just overtaking people left, right and centre. This one I think he was a bit too aggressive, Pillars was at this stage, but I think he's shown enough there to really show that he is a very fine racing driver as well. We're on board with Hardy Wee, who it looks like he's being outdriven by both Curly and Pillars, and Pillars is now in the ninth position now at this moment in time then, but Curly tried to go up the inside then. There's a bit of banging wheels there. I've got to say, these lot weren't too shy in Bahrain, were they, Alex? And goodness me, and when you start banging wheels to a competitor like that, how difficult is that to just to keep your aggression under control?
Well, I think I saw a bit of a dive bomb there, but I think it never helps to get aggressive in a driving situation, whether it's in real life or on a game anyway. It's just going to cause negative effects for yourself later down the line, as we see another another attempt there. But yeah, getting aggressive, getting wound up during a race, it happens. Obviously, if it's not going your way, you do feel a bit aggrieved when things start happening against you. But there's nothing you can do really about it. You get your head down, and if there is an incident you need to have looked at, then that's what the incident report is for afterwards. But everyone, I think, in bronze, they were a bit fearless. I think it is the word to describe it. Is they go for the move and go for the attempt and worry about it afterwards, sort of thing, if you know what I mean. But it did put on some entertaining races, a few incidents here and there, unfortunately, for some drivers. But in this race particularly, you've seen quite a few attempts. We've got somebody, we've got Ayrton there spinning out, unfortunately, and damaging his wing in the Mercedes there. But yeah, it will put pains to your race eventually, whether it's whether you're impacting other people's races or impacting yourself in the actual race itself straight away. But like I said, it provides some entertaining racing. But at the end of the day, we want clean racing and entertaining racing at the same time, which sometimes is a bit difficult to handle. But it's the best way. It's the best show for ALR and for any racing game or racing league in the long term.
It is indeed. Then, as I got to say, I'm quite a guilty party. I do love an entertaining race, and when there's incidents, it is quite entertaining. But of course, at the end of the day, driving standards kind of it should be the most important part of a league, shouldn't it? Really, we don't want to see needless incidents left, right, and centre. As we're watching the Gort then, who was really showing some strong form at this stage, and him and Farfar were having a good old battle as well, because they are old-time rivals at the Gort and Farfar, and I was really enjoying this one as well. Mike, who was the winner last time out in Australia, is in third position at the moment then, as we jump to lap 26 as well then. So we've got Bradfield then, who just overtaken Gunnar, and unfortunately Gunnar misjudged his braking point now and went straight into the back of Bradfield. Gunnar openly apologised after the race as well, as he was feeling a bit sheepish about that one. But of course Gunnar is a long-time ALR favourite, isn't he? As he's racking up a lot of records there for most starts in this campaign. He's had a lot of starts this season as well, so good stuff indeed there from Gunnar. Just watching Total Pizza go on the outside of one of the McLarens. I think that was Mike. Fantastic stuff. And Sean Hammers was also involved in that as well. And P's showing that he's got a strong performance there as well. I think he's a reserve again here tonight. We got Farfar, who won the race, and that was his first Grand Prix win at bronze then. And it was a really good performance there from Farfar, and I think that was his first win in almost a year in ALR. Incredible stuff there. Gort getting his best result of his career in bronze there, equaling that of Azerbaijan last season. And Velocity in third position again then, so he's had two podiums in the first two races, really racking up nicely there. Pillars' adventurous race there, finished fourth again, and now it just shows he does have pace there, but unfortunately he did have a very incident-packed race there. Ayrton also getting a point, which is actually equal to the points total he had last season in bronze in his first season, so good 17 there for Ayrton. As we're just now looking at the table, and Velocity taking the lead over Mike, who finished, who was dropped on second as well. Farfar going from the bottom of the table right up to third as well. Gort also moving up 5 positions, but this is early on the championship, and Williams also taking the lead then. And I think that if I'm not very much mistaken, Ed, I don't think Williams actually lost the lead in the constructors after since Bahrain, and it just shows how incredible their season was in the constructors. We jump onto the round 5 at Zandvoort as well. Troy getting his first pole position of his ALR career, then the first Swede on pole position as well. Brilliant stuff indeed there. But I think it was Rempo who took the early lead then. A very good start there from Rempo. Nosey, I love this track. I think it's old school, it's narrow. I really enjoy racing around it, and I really enjoyed watching all the ALR races around here as well. What's your opinion on this track then, and do you like it?
Yeah, it reminds me of it's like a Monaco, but without the walls so close, is how I like to think of it anyway. Yeah, like I said, narrow track limits the opportunities for overtaking. The banking is just on an F1 track is just a sort of novelty in itself, isn't it? So it's good to have that back. Obviously, reminiscent of Monza, yeah. So it's an interesting track. I think it's good to have on the calendar, especially as it's a sort of it's a difference or a track to the usual tracks that we got on the calendar normally. So yeah, great addition to Formula One. It's a shame that we didn't get to race there. Well, the F1 guys didn't get to race there in real life this season because of the ongoing implications of COVID. But yeah, I think everybody's done a great job in adapting to the new circuits. Of course, Vietnam being new to the calendar for the game as well. And everybody in all three divisions put on a great show at all the new tracks, especially this one.
Definitely, indeed. Then, of course, putting on a great show. Silver was had the closest finish, I think, on-track finish in ALR history. I think it was at 2800ths of a second, incredibly close. That as Farfair had a great acceleration there between himself and Velocity. They had a ding-dong battle around here. I was loving this battle between Velocity and Farfair. Of course, two drivers who not shy there to really stick their noses into each other there. And goodness me, then very close indeed. That Mike leading the race at the moment. Rempo, I got to say, this is the first time we've really seen Rempo leading the race and being up there a quite a long period of time then. How impressed was you with Rempo over the course of the season?
I think she's come into, well, in the last couple of races from Zandvoort here, she's come into the Haas seat full time. I think it was replacing the Gort, if I'm not mistaken, but potentially I'm wrong there. But yeah, so since then she's cracked on, improved quite a lot from the early performances in the season. Had a few retirements that she will probably not like me to mention, but yeah, otherwise I think again one of the candidates for most improved. I think everybody's well, there's quite a lot of improvements this season through everybody, but I think one of the most improved as well as well as all the other guys as well in terms of adapting to the new game. But I think later on in the season everybody's sort of got used to that as well, and the improvements are there to see in the standings. So yeah, we've got Rempo, great job throughout the season. I think as well we've got the energetics and velocity battle coming up, which I think is pretty much going on. It goes on for the whole season as well, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and unfortunately got a bit too close for comfort there, didn't they? Velocity and Energetics. I feel that I was really enjoying the Velocity and Energetics battle because they're completely two different drivers, aren't they? Energetics is like a very quick, like out of the box driver, isn't he? He's so quick on the one like flying laps, and whilst Velocity just seems to keep coming at you. He's more of a prolonged driver, isn't he? And at race trim, he's absolutely phenomenal. And I think that those two, I was really enjoying this. I don't think we've seen the best of Velocity last season. I think that the short season really didn't help Velocity, and you've seen in this season there the longer the season goes on for, Velocity just seems to get more momentum as well. Rempo having a look down the inside of Energetics, because Velocity, I think he had 4 wins this season, didn't he? Which wasn't the most, but it was his podiums and his consistency. We've already seen in this review that he's been on the podium in every single race so far, and he was just banging that away, wasn't he? Farf at the moment now is currently leading, but by only 3 seconds there. And unfortunately, Farf's one drawback from Farf is that he does collect a lot of penalties, whilst Mike, who doesn't collect not many penalties at all, and he is on course for his second race win of his career, and also he'll have his second race win of the season as well, which means that he's the only driver down to win 2 races there in the opening 5 rounds. So really good stuff indeed there from Mike and from Mike in the McLaren as well. Very impressive. Mike was as I was just on board then with Troy and Bradfield then getting very close. I can't believe they go side by side for that very fast second sector there. I always cover my eyes there. Far coming really the final turn then, and he in the first 5 races for Farfair, they seem to throw away a lot of race winning positions there for Farfair, but I think he was just enjoying racing really, wasn't he? Mike there finishing at second there, just keeping it clean there. Energetics finished second there, and Farfair in the end finished further. Mike, 2 wins in the first 5 races. Nolsey, what do you make of that then? We talked about how good Rempo started off her season in Bronson, but Mike, 2 wins in 5 races, pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not hard. Oh, sorry, it's not hard. It's not easy to win. Sorry, I should say, in any league race. So somebody has to do it, and yeah, he's done a great job in terms of getting top spot in Australia and in Zandvoort here. Sorry, in Netherlands. And yeah, it just shows keeping it clean, keeping it consistent. No penalties in either of them, I don't think. And it gets you the result.
Really was indeed. That Mike was just banging away with results in his first half of the season, and I think Mike was definitely a championship contender. He really was that. And I think that Velocity was definitely concerned about Mike, and you can see at the top of the standings there, Farf was equal top then with Velocity. Well, then Mike only 7 points back as well. I was loving this battle there, and also in the constructors as well. Williams there was starting to really stretch their legs though, weren't they? 15 points in front of McLaren in second position at the moment then, but still too close for comfort after only 5 rounds though in the Bronze World Championship. Up next then, we go to round 6 in Spain as well then, and Nunda got a really good, his first pole position, and I think he had 2 in the end then, but I think that it was under under some interesting circumstances as well, but I'm not taking anything away from Nunda then, because I feel that to get that lap, he just judged the conditions absolute perfection now, similar to Heinz-Harald Frenz in the Nürburgring back in '99. Is a Nunda dropping down, and we've got a new recruit for McLaren this time around, and that is Newman. And so Newman and Mike was an absolutely formidable team in the McLaren. Up until Austria, they were really hammering in on the Williams and the Williams duo as well. Let's talk about Newman whilst he's leading this race at the moment. And Alex said he's a pretty formidable driver. Newman isn't he?
Yeah, he came in, like I said, came in a few races late into the beginning of the season, and like I said, with Mike in McLaren, and took the fight to the Williams boys all through the season, I think, and got a few wins under his belt. I think it was this race as well, and later on in the season too. He got a few wins to really help McLaren in the standings as well.
He really did, and I think Newman was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, but hats off to Newman there. Very much stood up in the seat of that McLaren. Brilliant stuff indeed. But you see, after only 6 laps in this race, there was a bit of a queue behind Newman as well. As you can see, it's Gore who I think was back in the Haas, wasn't he? As he was having a bit some sporadic appearances there. But as you can see, unfortunately, I think that was his last appearance in gold, last appearance in bronze, and unfortunately for the Gore and for us as well, because I think the Gore is a very good driver, but he was struggling with this game at that stage. Back on board with Newman, and he is the new man on the block, isn't he? As we just got a car facing the wrong way there. That was Dead Rabbit then, as Farfair trying to repel the attack from this young Charger Newman in the McLaren as well. As he is now going to go up the inside, and a good overtaking move there from Newman. Is Farf going to go back up another? He is trying then, but I've got to say, Farf is featuring a lot in these races, isn't it? Of course, he has picked these races, so I'm wondering if there was a bit of biasm there from Farf, and he seems to be in this a lot then, but he does have the spotlight, doesn't he, our Farf? Troy going on the outside then, and he is through then. Ayrton is also involved in that battle as well, and of course Ayrton only scored 1 point in his ALR bronze career last season, but this season, my goodness me then, the man's a changed driver, isn't he? Is that just because he's got one season of league race under his belt now, or do you think that there's some other factors in play as well, like the game is completely different?
I think, he's adapted to the new game quite quickly, and it suits him better than last game, I think. Same for me, really, to be fair. But yeah, I think, got to grips with the new game pretty quickly. It's earning him the points that he needs in the championship, and he's been doing a great job this season so far. And long may it continue.
Indeed, and very good stuff indeed there from Ayrton. This, believe it or not, that was Velocity's first Grand Prix win of his bronze career. Because as we've mentioned, there, Velocity is very much a points and podium collector, isn't he? But that was his first Grand Prix win as well, beating the young hot shoe Newman as well. It was a cracking race. I really enjoyed that Spanish Grand Prix. So we definitely give Farf the benefit of the doubt on that one, because I think we really enjoyed that one as well. Also, a quick shout out to RDW. RDW was fantastic in that race. He really was indeed there, and if a wrong strategy call really cost him there. Velocity has extended his lead now between himself and Farfair. It's so close between those two at the beginning of the season. Energetics has finally moved himself into the top 3 as well. Williams' advantage has been stretched slightly further now, but McLaren and Williams and Renault are starting to break away from the rest of the pack in the constructors as well. As we move on then to quite late on the season in the Japanese Grand Prix, as Newman is now a 3-time Grand Prix winner then, as we jump from Spain to the Japanese Grand Prix. Bradfield, what a performance there from Bradfield as well. But I think that they got a bit wrong there in turn 1 there, and you can see a lot of a bit of overzealous driving there. No goodness me, and it's Farfan won the race. Not far, sorry. Fran and Swiftly D there coming to blows there, unfortunately, and that was a bit of a messy start then. But it seems to be a common factor in Japan, and as we had a lot of incidents, didn't we, to really in the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a difficult turn 1 to navigate on the opening couple of laps.
I think it was, especially off the start when there's it can be, well, it's usually 2 wide, it can be up to 3 wide into turn 1. It's never going to end well. As you see here, yeah, it's quite measured there from Roscoe and Curly Red there, but yeah, it's never going to end well when you're going 3 wide, especially because it's quite a cambered turn, but you kind of want to have the whole width of the track as you swing in, and obviously when you've got other cars side by side into that turn, it doesn't end well when you try and do that. So yeah, it usually causes incidents when it's such close racing at the very beginning, when there's usually quite a lot of cars quite close together. As the gaps begin to form, then it's not so much of a problem. But yeah, I think that's why we've seen the incidents at the beginning of the lap, beginning of the race, sorry, as well. And yeah, it's unfortunate. It's usually a racing incident because everybody's trying to get into the same turn at the same point, which was always a bit difficult. But yeah, if you can get through Japan turn 1, if you're coming out of the pits like Roscoe, Kamara Racer and Roscoe there were, and do it cleanly, then yeah, you can set yourself up for a good race. It's been a bit unfortunate for the guys who were involved in the incident, but yeah, it's unfortunately something that happened in league racing, isn't it? So.
It is very much a pinch zone, isn't it? And we're just watching Murphy and Sean Hammers as well. We've jumped quite a way into the future, haven't we, in bronze now then? So at this point in the season, then we've got a couple of returning drivers. Sean Hammers, since come back into the AlphaTauri seat, has been absolutely amazing stuff indeed then. And Sean Hammers is one of my, is probably one of my drivers of the season for me personally. I know that probably makes no ounce of difference there for Sean Hammers, but he was incredible. Roscoe on a great drive as well then in the Renault, and he replaced Farf about halfway through the season as well. Then as a Farf very graciously stepped away from racing in bronze to focus more on the admin side then. So really good stuff there from Farf. Hats off to him for that. And we've also got Diashi as well. And Diashi, I think he's been amazing really. Diashi there started off didn't really come in with a great with a big old bang in bronze then, but the more he's got used to the ALR league, he's just been absolutely amazing. Diashi, as we're just watching another driver who is a completely different driver from when he was reserving last season, Nunda. He has been amazing stuff for Nunda, and he has been a major part of Williams there, really dominating the constructors. And so hats off to Nunda. And he was a Grand Prix racer, he's a Grand Prix winner as well as a multiple pole sitter. Then look at this, and it's Energetics and Curly going close together as well. Curly fighting in a top 10 spot in the driver's standings at the moment, and it got a bit too close there for Energetics, and that is the problem with Energetics, wasn't it? And got a very slight tap there with the Tech Pro, and unfortunately he was out there. But problem with Energetics, I feel that he just didn't seem to have the consistency to keep up with velocity. Is that a fair statement to make there, Nosey?
Well, I think you can see that in the standings that yeah, well, both Williams actually were doing such a great job of keeping up the point score and keep getting on the podium places, as we saw there with Nunda. And yeah, you can find out in the standings at the very end of how well it was going for the Williams guys. And unfortunately for Energetics, there was a few inconsistencies, like you said, with his races that cost him a few points where the Williams drivers were picking them up. So that's ultimately where the championship went to Williams.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, and you can see, look at that, how different the season makes. And Velocity now 81 points in front then, and I think he was on course then for becoming then the second ever bronze world champion. Look at that, up into Austria, McLaren were very close to the Williams team, but unfortunately they seemed to implode in Austria. Newman and Mike, they came together like Hakkinen and Coulthard in '99, and since then the McLaren team really struggled. And we're on to Mexico again then, as Mexico is becoming a favourite in ALR, isn't it? As we as we get away then. Energetics then, of course, showing at his one lap pace is definitely definitely nothing to sneeze at, is it? But I think that his performance in qualifying was absolutely sensational as well. We got a lot of spinners there in turn one. Now, goodness me, as the long drag down into turn one once again, and of course, some shenanigans. But Energetics in the qualifying trim was absolutely mega. How he just went around and around on those intermediate tyres there, and it just kept building confidence, which is quite important in those wet conditions as well. Lovely shot here from Curly Red there, as you can see then Murphy there, who's on the Alpha Tower there in the famous car 14 there. Murphy is, and he's going on the inside of Curly's Red. That's a very neat pass indeed. Then, but Curly was not shy there of just getting himself back in. It was a great bit of scrap there as well. And Curly is battling with Ayrton at the moment for the top, for I think it's 7th and 8th position as well. Just watching Ayrton and Renbo getting close together, and these two seem to be tied to each other on the circuit in the latter stage of bronze there, similar to Massa and Hamilton in 2011. Then it was kind of a running joke towards the end there, and as we jump to lap 19, and it is that velocity and energetics. This is what we want to see, isn't it? With the championship almost done and dusted, wasn't it? I think this was the race there where velocity was going to be crowned the champion, wasn't he? He was so close in the United States. If he didn't pick up a 3-second penalty, he would have won the championship there. But so it's been prolonged then to this Mexican Grand Prix. But Energetics then, mathematically, it was very difficult for him to win it. But these two put on an absolute clinic in the race now, and it was really good to see then. I've got to say, Knowles, you're a racer at heart as well. You must have been loving this, watching these two really dice away in the final stages of Mexico.
Yeah, it wasn't just Mexico. I think throughout all the races this season, they've been battling. In the majority of them, they've been battling, whether it be for the top step of the podium, or whether it even be further down in the points somewhere else. But they've always decided to put on a good show for us, which is good. And good for you, and obviously as well to commentate on as well. I think unfortunately Energetics has come off. He's not come off worse, but he didn't get the points to get the prizes. But Velocity definitely did, and you can see in this battle here that they sort of give. They don't hold no holds barred, is it? So it's get your elbows out, and but it's still fair racing at the same time, which is good. So something that we all want to see, and hopefully they can carry it on into next season.
Definitely, and I'm looking forward to this. And as both will be racing in silver next season as well. So just watching and look at this, and it's these two there battling away. Then as they go through the S as well. Look at them banging wheels as well. Cartboy, who had a very difficult 2 races in Mexico, didn't he? In silver and gold. Then, but this was absolutely mega stuff. Then from Cartboy, he really showed that he definitely was a ALR driver, wasn't he? A strong one as well. And look at this. Then as Noel said, it's no holds barred, isn't it, between these two? I absolutely loved it, and Cart was also there just to pick up the piece as well. It was brilliant stuff, but these two didn't end in tears too much. So I know it probably got very strong words there between the two, probably when they were chatting afterwards in the races then. But goodness me, they never ended in the war more often than not then as well. And look at this then. We would have seen other drivers perhaps then crash there, or maybe even run each other off the road. Then there's a lot of respect then between Energized and Velocity, which is really good stuff. They were just cutting to Roscoe, who was really starting to pick up some pace now in the final stage of the bronze at championship as well. Looking forward to seeing what Roscoe can do next season. We've got Cummings in there as well. Of course, Cummings really debuted in the Belgian Grand Prix, didn't he? Unfortunately, he didn't go very far. His race ended in Eau Rouge, but he did have a very strong end of the season, didn't he? Cummings did. So another driver as well. Oh, this got very I think Farfar, who got a bit too involved then with Curly there, and that's probably why Farf took a step back and became an admin now, as he seemed to be involved in some of the incidents there, unfortunately for Farf. Of course, I think that Farf was just probably enjoying the end of season party, which is Mexico, of course, and so unfortunately Farf didn't have a very delightful end, did he? And unfortunately Cart just went to the back of Velocity as he damaged his wing ends. We're on lap 36 then, and I think that really Velocity knew he was the world champion there, didn't he? But he just threw it down the inside there anyway, just to see if it would stick, really. But I think that he did give the position back to Andrews, which is a very a very sporting thing to do then as he comes through the final turn. And Energetics, I think, won eight races, if I'm not very much mistaken, in the end of bronze set. Velocity had only 4 races, but he won, I think he had 15 podiums this season. Now, absolutely fantastic. Cart finished second, and then kept it very clean indeed. And Sean Hammer's also being promoted up into 4th position as well, once again, keeping it very clean then here in Mexico then. But yeah, this was the moment where Velocity was crowned the world champion then of bronze, and the second ever world champion as well. And I think the prolonged season, or the longer season in season 2 of bronze, and really helped Velocity go get him that crown as well. Good stuff indeed then. It looks like a boring race from there, doesn't it? Energetics first, a car in second, and Velocity third, where exactly where to start. It was anything but, and brilliant stuff indeed. I absolutely enjoyed that one from start to finish as well. A really good stuff indeed then. Velocity, the world champion, Nosey. I got to say, it was deserved then, wasn't it? It was just consistency was absolutely devastating towards the rest of the field in the end.
Yeah, no doubt. He's got the most points, maximised the points in every race, and that wins you the prizes. So, again, most of it was clean racing as well, clean overtakes, and it was good stuff to watch. So, fully deserved. No doubt he was the best driver in the league this season.
He was indeed, and there's a lot of shout-outs to go there. For example, Newman making his debut as well. We've also got Noonan there as well. We also in the Williams Constructors Champion as well, 185 points in front of McLaren. That is absolutely incredible. Williams were absolutely have broken a lot of records in the ALR this season, haven't they? Impressive stuff indeed. Then it's our final round then here in bronze. Is of course in Abu Dhabi as well. Then is Rempo jumped the start there, which at the time was quite funny. Really, it really tickled me, which just shows my sense of humour, doesn't it, really, and how immature I am. But Mike got a pole position there. That was his first pole position of his career and season there, which I was quite surprised really to read that stat out in qualifying then, because I feel that Mike on his day then is a really good qualifier. Do you agree with that, Alex?
Yeah, I think he's got the ability definitely to put it on the top position, on P1. In qualifying, just hasn't gone his way, I don't think, in some cases. But yeah, maybe putting an extra bit of practice for this race, being the final race of the season, and it paid off.
It did indeed, and bronze as a whole then, as we're just watching currently there, how a couple of issues then, bronze as a whole then for season 2 then, of course, is the longest season in bronze history, 21 races in the end then, as unfortunately Vietnam was not on the calendar after a couple of issues with the lobbies. Would you say that bronze was a success this year? I mean, we've had some great racing. We've just seen it in the couple of races that Farfus selected for us to talk over tonight then. How would you sum up bronze overall?
I'd say it's been a bit hectic, but I think overall the racing's been pretty good. Everyone's put on a good show. There's been a lot of improvements in the driving from some of the drivers from last season that we talked about already as well. And it's been a good show, I think. And overall, I think everybody who's raced in it who's racing in this race and who has raced in bronze in season 2 at any point in the season, I think they've all done a great job. So thank you for being part of the bronze season 2.
Yeah, really good stuff. There's a lot of memories that bronze has created this season, and I've really enjoyed a lot of course, Newman's incredible win in Baku as well, which I actually had the pleasure of just sitting back and watching it as I took a night off as well, as Nosey took over the helms of the microphone there. Brilliant stuff, and he's just having a look then his Energetics and was battling in the midfield for most of this race. Then the main talking point in this race was unfortunately kind of done before he even got going, really, which was the battle for third between Nunda and Newman. Nunda finished third in the end there, with Newman finishing fourth. So Nunda just capped off what has been an absolutely fantastic season as well. Steve has showed flashes of brilliance as well. This is the first time I'm speaking about Steve, really, because Steve's race performances came really good late on in the season as well. I think Brazil had a strong race as well, but here he was really showing, he was really flexing his muscles then. And at the moment, and at this stage, he was leading the race then, as we just got Bradfield, who couldn't get couldn't get the event together, could he? He had a really good qualifying or a poor race or opposite way around there for Bradfield. If he can get that together, then perhaps he can get some major points under his sleeve next season. Unfortunately, the commentator's curse. I remember that as I was really complimenting Steve, and unfortunately he was in the wall. Sean Hammers won this race in the end with Murphy unfortunately getting as Murphy was behind Hammers because Hammers got a penalty rescinded there. So Sean Hammers, his second Grand Prix winner of the season, a fantastic stuff indeed there, and what an end to bronze that was, and a really good celebration that was indeed. Then and you can see then we had Gunnar getting a sixth position. That was his best result of his season as well. Diashi finishing off strong then, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Diashi can do in his second season as well. RDW also getting off the points as well. As that was his first points of the season. Well, RDW has been very unlucky with some races. Well, in Singapore, he should have got some major points there, but unfortunately, towards the end, he made one strategy call too many, which cost him some major points as well. Then, but taking it down to the bottom then, as Velocity did not retire in any single races, I don't think, in the race he participated in as well, and he is definitely a worthy champion in bronze. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. And this is the final standings then. Velocity won by 79 points in the end. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Diashi broke into the top 10 as well. Lovely stuff. And Sean Hammers into 5th position after missing a couple of races this season. The constructors, Williams were the worthy winners then. And up next then is the awards for bronze. Enjoy. Let's see what he did in the final stage of the top 12. Is Gordo say Maldonado 4th and Inouye 5th in terms of the top 5 of all time drivers. We have also got we're now coming up to the line and currently ready 7th fast. We're going to be on pole position twice this season. Can he make a hat trick as well? 1 point Williams, Daly Williams in qualifying free. Locking up the inside front for Nina. Out of final turn. It is pole. Tapped in there and it really without stop pulling 98 onwards with the goodness me. And he was definitely going to fly and fit for a reason. Mike is at the flying McLaren at Rody. Just hasn't got no traction on those medium tires, and Simon Curly up into 3rd position. Impressive stuff indeed there. Ayrton and Swiftly again too close for comfort. He is on the outside. Ayrton he's up to 10th, but Ayrton's the biggest mover so far. He's up in Nunda is right on the gearbox of Roscoe as well. And look at this, we're coming up the hill as well. Nunda has gone from 20th on the grid right up into 5th position. That's it. And he's going on the outside into Lake Com.